We just need to put a nice
board.
OnlyFans model right in between us, and we'll be good. I have big, gigantic balls. Hey, watch your mouth. Yeah, it's already on.
No. How do I like apply it?
I understand nothing.
Oh, you want the clip on? Okay, let me get the clip. This will be part of like the crappy opener that I make.
Exactly.
Hey, watch yourself.
Okay, all right. Walk me through, because I came home and there's a brand new car sitting in the driveway, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's your process of saying, I'm not going to buy a used car, right? There's no cars for 15 grand for me.
Well, why don't we just go through car buying in 2023?
That. This is post-production, Drew. We're doing this shit cartoon style. Let's get it.
Yeah, so car buying today sucks.
Uh-oh.
Now I would know. I did it. Didn't want to, but I was sick of playing part-time mechanic on the side of the highway. Man, fuck this. I drove a white 2007 Dodge Caliber.
Wow.
And oh baby, was she something.
She was sleek. She was sexy. She got me so goddamn. Anyway, her fall from grace began when I was getting off the highway one day. Came to a stop at the stoplight at the end of the exit ramp. And when I went to go, I pressed down on the pedal, and nothing happened. So that's about when the first beads of sweat started forming, right about here and here. Now the car is creeping forward because the road is ever so slanted, and rather than braking, I decided to try and make it through. A big line had formed behind me and I was feeling the pressure, okay? So now, in the middle of the four-way intersection, I was not just blocking my side, but also all of the others. And they did not like that.
Hey, fuck you. Oh, and there happens to be a cop at the other side of the intersection, stuffing his fucking face and shit. So he pulls up, absolutely baffled by my stupidity.
Hey kid, you no, you can't be here, right? Yeah, I gathered that. No, like, you gotta move now. Yeah, I'm trying. I'm doing my best, man. 'Cause you're like blocking the whole thing. Oh, gee, really? I hadn't noticed that. Wow, thank you for that helpful, insightful comment. Move along, sir. You know what?
We here at Broke Boys fully support law enforcement. Don't do shit like this, you fucking idiots.
So my mom came to pick me up.
Women can't drive.
And that was that. Basically, the transmission had seen better days, and it overheats pretty fast.
Come on.
So I was now on the hunt for a new stud muffin of a car. I hunted high, I hunted low, and I finally came across my gorgeous 2023 Honda Civic. Yep. Now you know I'm a high roller. So I went down to the dealership, gave them way too much money, and I filled out 4 references for some goddamn reason. I mean, it was no issue. I know my boys got my back. So is this Andrew lad, is he to be trusted with a vehicle? Yes he is. Don't read too much into that pause. And I took that bad boy home. The end.
So how long do you actually plan to keep this car, though?
I'm thinking I'll probably be rich in 4 to 5 years.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Now you're paying most of the depreciation within 1 to 3 years. Did you actually consider leasing?
So I looked into it, and there are benefits to leasing. It depends on what you want. You actually end up paying less per month when you lease. Your monthly payments are a combination of like a rental fee and then the actual leasing itself. You're paying for the depreciation of the car. So Honda is coming to you, and they're like, we think in 2 years when this lease is up, this is how much that car is going to be worth. So your lease payment is the difference in the amount it's worth now versus it's worth then, divided over that period.
Yeah, but that's like hard math.
I may not have a brain, gentlemen.
See, what you don't understand is after you own a car for a certain amount of time, things go on it. Rotors, transmission issues, axles need to be replaced, and people steal your antenna, things like that. And maybe you can insert a picture of the stolen antenna part of it.
There will be a picture of his stolen antenna that he still has duct tape.
I think it happened here.
later.
Because I've had egging issues with neighbors before, so
Okay,
you know,
well,
this is a weird area.
we
Those are things that you're not accounting for after, you know, like the 2 to 3 year lifespan of the lease is up, right? You don't have to deal with that stuff when you lease.
Yeah. The average price of a used car right now.
Wow.
I wrote this down.
Yeah, you got to see this little diagram you copy and pasted.
Shut up.
That's a lot.
Anyway,
Okay,
it's
continue.
$27,000.
The
I
gap.
looked up a list of used Honda Civics on CarGuru.com.
Yeah.
Look at these. 2017 Honda Civic, $23,000. And it has 73,000 miles.
Wait.
Another one, 2015 Honda Civic with 65,000 miles on it. $17,000. That's only 8 years old. Yeah, so as I was saying, used prices are way too high. To actually get in that $8,000 range that you're talking about, you're going to have to buy a car that has at least 100,000 miles on it. Like you can see here on my graph. I'll put the graph up on the screen because I know everyone's dying to see that. But you can see right in 2021, the average price of a used car jumps up like $8,000 right there. There's kind of like that starter tier of cars that you got to look through. And I kind of narrowed it down to a couple, but I'll kind of take you through some of the options.
That's great.
All right, everyone fucking buckle up. It's time for the starter sedan. First off, we got the Nissan Versa and the Toyota Corolla. Let me tell you right now, these cars are not bangers. At about $17,000, yeah, they're cheap, but you are getting the engine performance of a 6-year-old in one of these things. Next up, we got the Nissan Sentra, more like Nissan Sentia, a shitty fucking car. At $21,000, this car is like a 40-year-old virgin son that you unfortunately still have living in your basement.
Yeah, hurting for a squirtin'. I wrote that.
Next, Hyundai Elantra. First off, why is this spelled like this? At $22,500, it's okay, it drives well, but it's got that big old fucking snozzer on there. It's kind of like that male-looking girlfriend from high school that you left because you saw all the baddies at college. Moving along, we got the VW Jetta, really solid car from those wonderful folks over in Tokyo. They really know how to make a car that can zip.
Oh, really?
Especially at a good price like $22,500. There's a reason that Fast and Furious 3 is the best movie in the series.
Yup, you heard that right. Bite me.
And there she is. Old reliable Honda Civic. At $25,000, she ain't the cheapest, but she's an all-around talent and the car you could definitely see yourself wifing up in the end. And finally, we got the Toyota Camry coming in at $27,500. At that price, let me tell you folks, you're taking her to a fancy restaurant. But with performance like this engine in this base sedan, ooh, man, this car is going to be driving you, if you know what I'm saying.
And that's the end. Now, any fucking questions?
Do you remember that video of that guy? It was like weirdest like obsessions or something like that. It was on like True TV.
That's
or
what you
TLC
sound
or
like right
something.
now. That's what you
It was
sound
like
like
this
right
guy
now.
who's like in love with this car.
Morning, baby. Handsome man.
When you decide what car you want to call on the last day of the
Well,
month.
but I want to know about first, like, what it was like just going there. What was the salesman like for you?
Well, the phone call is the first thing. Oh, okay. This is the big takeaway. Negotiate the price on the phone. Do not go into the lot and be like, oh, I kind of want to look at this car, because you're going to get worked like a goddamn puppy. You are helpless. It's like you're staring down Ray Lewis on the football fields. Like, and you got no pads on, and he's just coming to truck your stupid ass.
That was right. I thought I could hit him.
You don't understand how helpless you are rolling up to the dealership without things set in stone, because they have you at that point. You're already invested. Sometimes you drove a long way to get to the car dealership, and they know all these things, and they have so much leverage over you. Now, you call on the last day of the month because they are more inclined to give you a better price at the end of the month. Essentially, car salesmen and car dealership franchises are incentivized to sell cars before the end of the month. For them, it is more profitable to sell a car for like $4,000 less on the last day of a month than for $4,000 more the very next day. They will do it, and that's what happens with me. New cars are going a little bit above MSRP. I got my car for $24,000, and he was telling me, yeah, like within the next week at the start of the new month, he could have sold it for $27,500. With the actual phone call, You need to be very stern. You need to let that person know the ball's in your court when you're calling.
Oh yeah.
Like
the big
right
man.
off the bat, you want to start talking price. You want to say, hey, look, I'm interested in this car. What can you do for me? And a lot of times they're not going to tell you a number right off the bat. You basically want to lowball that car when they ask you what you're kind of looking at price wise. And they're going to act like they're super offended.
That is not true.
The question I got the most after that was, what makes you think it's worth that?
So they
Yeah, that was the biggest question I got.
Real estate agents do that stuff too.
Yeah.
They do
What
that.
makes you
it's the worst.
And they'll be like, have you looked other places? What makes you think it's worth that?
Even they could be just lying out their butts.
Like I was lying on my ass too, because every other place I called, it was above MSRP. And I told them a price that was $2,000 below MSRP or something like that. Because they're kind of hoping you'll fold at that point. You'll admit something that they don't want to have to say. Like, oh yeah, like I checked and like, yeah, they want a little higher at other places. Because then he's going to jump in and be like, well, yeah, because that's kind of what the car is worth. No, you don't say any of that crap. What you do is you say, that's exactly what I think that car is worth. I've checked around and yeah, I think that's a fair price for that car. The only person at a dealership who can sell a car or
is the manager
is the manager.
Oh,
so if you've so when you talk on the phone with a salesman, they're going to be like, oh, let me go check on that price with the manager, because they literally, policy does not let them sell a car without manager.
So it is
permission.
controlled still.
It is still controlled.
Oh, that's interesting.
The way I negotiated was I told him that $2,000 price below, and he was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do that for you, but I could do any. He gave me a price that was like, it was like $500 below MSRP. And it's like, it's the last day of the month. This is what I can do. And then I pushed it to like $1,000 under MSRP because there was a student discount that was going on at the time too.
Okay.
Check with the dealership what kind of discounts they have going on. They have veteran discounts if you're a veteran. They have college graduate discounts. You just have to show like your diploma or something. So it was like that first initial offer and then plus the $500 beneath that. So it ended up being a little over $1,000 off MSRP. And he was like, oh, I don't know about that one. And I was like, can you please just ask your manager? Like, just go to your manager and ask him. Can't hurt. And he was like, okay. He kind of grumbled about it. But then he went and did it. And he came back and he's like, all right, you got to be here before 6. And then off we went.
Yeah, to put your ass to the fire a little bit. Otherwise, they're like, why are we going to give out this price?
The biggest things I can say, don't get worked right away. And don't blurt out the reasons the car is worth more to him. Don't do his salesman job for him. And then, like I said, look for the extra little incentives that the company offers. And the interest rate is just the cherry on top. Because realistically, like I said, you shouldn't be financing more than $10,000 anyway. So you should be able to pay the car off a lot faster than like the 72 months you're going to sign for. At that point, it's just a mad scramble to call the insurance company, be like, hey, we're adding a car to this policy. Because you got to bring like, it's called like an insurance binder or something like that. And it's like all your insurance stuff. When you register the car at the dealership, it has to be registered to an insurance policy right away.
Yes.
And then when I got to the dealership, like I said, oh, man, I forgot his name. It started with a K or something. And it was really complicated. But anyway, I shook Mr. K's hands. I'm just going to call him Mr. K.
That's fine. For
really nice
de-identify.
Really nice guy in person. Over the phone, we did war. Honestly, that after all of this and buying this car, that's the most annoying long-term ramification. I had to call every single dealership I did not buy a car from because they will spam you with calls and emails to the ends of the earth. You cannot hide from these people. You can burn all your SIM cards, acid wash your emails. They will still contact you.
Anyone on commission will do that.
You're like, Dale from Honda of Pennsylvania, I don't want this car. You go in the person, they put you inside, they give you a little tour of the buttons and whistles, what it does.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't have a steering wheel
Ideally,
and gas
you
pedal.
went to a different dealership beforehand to test drive that model, but I didn't because I have huge balls.
So, yeah, they're pretty big.
Then they bring you back inside and you do an hour of paperwork. There is a sheet of paper for everything. For the loans, there's like 10 different sheets of paper. The registrations, there's 10 different sheets of paper. The warranty, there's a sheet of paper. Like I said, I paid a little bit extra at closing time to put an additional 5 years of warranty on it. After you're done with all that, they hand you 2 sets of keys, which is nice. With a used car, you typically only get 1 key. With a new car, you get 2. That's a nice.
That's the selling point.
That might be, that might be the deal breaker for some people.
You can get a car made. You can get a key
It's
made.
expensive to do that with newer keys now. Like I said, closing costs are going to run you an extra like $3,000 essentially. So I ended up walking out at a little bit over 27.
So just for the disbursement of the loan, are you talking about the taxes as well on the car?
After, like, that's the total price.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Oh, that's the other thing too. When you go to put the down payment on it, a lot of places require a bank certified check, so you can't just write a regular check.
Yeah. You tell your bank you've been a lifetime customer and you get away with the fee.
Anyway, I kind of wanted to end this off by saying you pick what your dream car would be, and we kind of talk about what it would take to own that car.
Oh, okay.
So I have some options. I'll put them up on the screen.
Wow. What do we have here? We
have this Volkswagen Golf R. It's outclocked some of these other popular sports cars, but obviously it looks like you deliver pizzas.
Yeah, their hatchback design is very, very high in the back.
You got the new
the
Tesla, which is the Model S,
the plaid one,
which goes 0 to 60 in 1.6 seconds. Then you have the Nissan GTR, the Audi R8, which would be my choice. I think that's a sexy looking car. That's the car that Robert Downey Jr. pulls up in Iron Man 3.
Fill me.
How much is it? 158. Woo! You gotta make a lot of money. They purchase that R8.
You got, oh God, did I have the price up here? I do not have the prices up here. You got the Bugatti, the classic Bugatti.
Okay.
It's important to note that some of the cars you can't even just buy outright if you really want to, because these manufacturers only make a certain amount of these cars per year, and they have a seller's list. And to get on the seller's list, you basically have to pitch yourself to the manufacturer. So it's not enough to just have enough money to buy the car. You got to pitch why you're worth having the car.
Oh, for the Bugattis? Yeah.
And then you got that Mercedes G-Wagon.
I hate that car.
It's like like in Cars 2, the villain in Cars 2.
Child feared dead. He emerged 36 days later, running on a fuel he distilled himself from the natural elements.
Yeah.
That's that car. Porsche RS. I'm not going to read the numbers because there's like 10 of them. The Dodge Challenger, some good old American muscle, classic Lamborghini Aviator, and the Aston Martin Valkyrie. There's a couple others I didn't put up here. You can go with a Ferrari or...
Well, the closest thing to what I want in the near future is the...
not even near future. Just say, like, in life.
It would be like Audi R8 of these.
The Audi R8.
Yeah.
So what a brand new Audi R8.
158. About MSRP is about 160.
160. Okay, that's probably honestly one of the more reasonable prices on this list.
When you talk about some of these other cars that you're breaking $300,000 to $500,000, you're talking different class of cars.
So we're gonna say cars 158, which means after taxes and closing costs and stuff, you're probably spending 170.
Yeah, easily 170.
Easily 170, probably close to 175. Now, how much do you think you should be worth? And then how much do you think you should be making per month?
These are good questions. First of all, you need to buy this car in cash. If you're spending $170 on a car, you're not financing a dime of it. It is bought in cash. I don't care what asset you're buying it from. Like, you can maybe loan an asset out for it to buy a car like this.
What if your goal is to live in the car?
I would maybe a camper then, maybe not.
Okay, we can do this. We can do this an additional way. What's the lowest amount of money you could possibly have to get this car?
Your net worth should be roughly 1 to 1.5 million.
1 to 1.5 million. To buy $175,000.
Yeah, and you should have the additional cash to buy it. So you should not be dipping into the 1.5 to buy this. You should probably make just for the maintenance on a car like this, because this is going to have insane maintenance costs of at least a couple hundred a month. Not to mention you also just gassing a car like that, which needs premium gas. You should make like $300K a year very comfortably. And then you can own the car and not worry about it. But if you start going into the realm of I make 150 and you don't even have a net worth of $1 million yet, what you're going to tell me a fifth of your net worth is going to be in a car?
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
That car will probably hold its value for a decade pretty well, though.
Some of these do, I know older
Bugatti absolutely.
Bugattis do. Well, you got to remember how hard it might be to find a buyer for some of these cars sometimes. Which is the Audi is the one that might be easiest to resell because it's not up there yet. But yeah, you should be able to sell it for probably, I actually don't know. So people would know this better. You probably should get 100 grand for it, you know, if you had to flip it. But you're gonna take a loss.
You'll take a loss on any vehicle that you try
Yeah.
and resell, unless it becomes like a classic car. Like we always make fun of our dad because he bought a Firebird when he was a kid, which he bought for
it's the
I think
classical sporty car.
for like $1,500 or something like
Yeah,
that.
cars were cheap.
He ended up selling it like 2 years later because he wanted to buy a boat or something like that. It was something stupid, but he ended up like selling it for roughly the same price a couple years later. And nowadays, I looked it up, and I think it's worth around like $45,000 today.
Yeah, there's certain colors and years of certain models that are worth a lot of money. But what do you think you would have to make to afford it?
Bare minimum, I think with financing, you would own absolutely nothing else. But I think you could make. I think you can make 75, 80K and buy that car.
And you would own nothing, right? You'd own absolutely nothing. Dude, I
Least
think you'd be
invest
eating
75,
ramen. You'd be eating ramen.
Oh, you would be eating ramen, but you'd have a cool car.
So a friend of mine owns like a really nice car, and you can't put anything in those cars. Like you can't.
The sport cars.
Yeah. These
no,
cars.
The only things you're supposed to put in those cars are blondes you're taking home from the club.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that goes in those cars.
That's pretty good.
And we're done.
And we're done. You know what we forgot? We didn't do any introduction in the beginning. Like, oh, this is my name.
Oh no! What? Here we go again!